So at this moment, I decided that I wanted to dive in and start my investment journey. And the very first stock that I ever purchased was AT&T. And that was on November 15th, 2019. So November 15th, 2019 is my investing anniversary date. Yay! Hello everyone and welcome back to the BlackGirlOption Podcast. My name is Kayla Salem and I'm your host. With each and every episode of the BlackGirlOption Podcast, you all will be listening to me learn and discover new lessons on my path to being a consistent and profitable trader. So thank you all for tuning in and enjoy the show. All right, everyone. So with this episode, I wanted to take you all down memory lane and tell you all about the very first time that I invested in the stock market. And hopefully, with this story, you all will be able to relate and maybe even learn something. So the story might make you laugh, but it was the beginning of my journey. So, hey, you gotta listen to it. So one day, sometime in late 2019, I had to send someone some money through Cash App for whatever reason, and I can't even remember what that reason was. And I had recently just downloaded the Cash App. So I was really quite unfamiliar with the app. So I figured out how to send the person the money. And after that, I wanted to explore the app a little bit. I'm like, okay, what is this app about? How does this work? And just to get a better understanding of the app. So I'm going through the tabs, and first I see Bitcoin, which, y'all, if there was anything that I should have invested first into was Bitcoin. But you live and you learn, now I know better. But I had looked at Bitcoin, didn't really know what it was. So I'm like, skip. So I tabbed over to the stocks tab. And when I tabbed over, I saw a list of different stocks. So Cash App sort of highlights certain stocks on their main stock page. And so I'm looking at that and I scroll down and I see a list of stocks that have gone up and down for that particular day that I was looking on. And, the Cash App interface, it's so user friendly and sort of engaging to the sort of newbie, sort of novice investor, which is very similar, I would say, to Robinhood's interface. Robinhood, it's very, you look at it and you're like, oh, it looks easy. It makes sense to someone who doesn't know much about stocks. And so I'm looking at that and I became immediately interested into what I was looking at. Now, mind you, I literally at this point in time in late 2019 had absolutely no knowledge of the stock market, investing, dollar cost averaging, or anything of that nature. I had no idea of anything. And so I was looking at all these stocks sort of with a baby's eye, if you will, the untrained investor's eye. That's how I was looking at these stocks. And so my immediate thought looking at this main stock page was that if a stock was going up for that day, then that meant it would keep going up the next day, and so on and so on. And we all know that's not how things happen. So at this moment, I decided that I wanted to dive in and start my investment journey. And the very first stock that I ever purchased was AT&T. And that was on November 15th, 2019. So November 15th, 2019 is my investing anniversary date. Yay! And so that investment was for a fractional share for $10. And for those of you who don't know what fractional shares are, it basically lets investors purchase stock based off a dollar amount rather than an actual entire share price. So, say for example, Tesla, one share of Tesla is worth $700 and you don't have $700. So you decide, I'm going to buy $100 worth of Tesla stock. That's buying a fractional share. So you don't buy the actual entire stock, whole stock, you just buy a part of it. This is very beneficial for small retail investors who are looking to invest but don't have as much capital to start investing. Okay, so back to my story. I saw that day that AT&T was up a big percentage and I decided that I wanted in. So I bought $10 worth of AT&T share. And after a short while, I was positive on the stock on my $10 investment. And I was so excited. I was like, investing is easy. I remember thinking to myself that I'm going to be just like Warren Buffett in no time. And I'll be a billionaire. And this is how it goes. And this is how it's going to be. Well, like how it always goes in the stock market, stocks go up and stocks go down throughout the days and the weeks. So the next day I notice my position is down and I'm like, what? And I start to second guess things and I'm kind of like confused because I have no idea as to why I'm currently down in my position. I'm like, the stock was just up yesterday. Why isn't it up today? But, and this is something that I still have, I did have somewhat of foresight because I knew that if I held this fractional share long enough, that the trend would ultimately be in my favor. So at this point, I'm hooked. And I decided that I'm going to keep depositing cash into my little Cash App account and buy more fractional shares that I saw going up on the Cash App's main page. So I bought $10 fractional shares in Coca-Cola, Viastat, Lamb Research, TD Ameritrade, and Luckin Coffee. These were all stocks trending on Cash App's main page for that week. Now, I want to quickly talk to you all about Luckin Coffee. At the time, back in 2019, Luckin Coffee was a very hot stock. The company, Luckin Coffee, it's essentially China's version of Starbucks, and it is huge in China. To date, it has over 6,500 stores, so it's huge. And at the time, I wanted on the profits. People were making so much money investing in this stock, so I'm like, I'm going to invest in this stock. So if you all don't know, Luckin Coffee got hit with a huge lawsuit, and they were basically exposed for faking their profits. The stock dropped by over 70%, and it has since not recovered. It's essentially a penny stock now, which it means it's worthless. But anyways, I lost 70% of my initial investment in that company, which, again, I only bought $10 worth of share, but still 70% of losing 70% in an investment, it's still a lot. And that was my first taste of how news can really affect a stock. So I was taught a very valuable lesson with that. And after that, I started to dive deeper into fundamental analysis of stocks and its relevance, because fundamental analysis is really a catalyst to drive a stock price up or down. And it's something that you have to be cognizant of when you're investing. I held all these fractional shares for about a month. Almost all of these fractional shares that I owned, I didn't make a profit in, except for my fractional share in Coca-Cola. But with that one profit in Coca-Cola, I knew that it was possible to profit in the stock market. And lo and behold, with much learning and research, it has turned me into the investor and trader that I am now. And I am very proud of how far I've come. I know most of you all who are listening are already well versed in the stock market and probably have similar stories of your first time investing. So I'd love to hear those stories. So please send me a message through my Instagram page at BlackGirlOption, or send me a message on my Twitter, also at the same name, BlackGirlOption. I'd love to share some of those stories on a future episode. And for those of you who aren't well versed in the stock market, also message me and tell me why you haven't made the choice to start investing. I will compile them all and I will do a show on it. And maybe, just maybe, I'll have a special guest to talk to. Wink, wink. All right, everyone. That's a wrap for this episode of the BlackGirlOption Podcast. I hope you guys gained some insight and learned something new. Don't forget that episodes drop every first and third Monday of each month. So please hit the follow button and follow me on Instagram at BlackGirlOption. See you all on the next episode.